Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan ordered to enter defence over 2 million ringgit bribe. Decision on RTS to be announced by next month. Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching the evening edition of News on 2 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Now, the Kuala Lumpur High Court today ordered former Federal Territories Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansor to enter his defence on the charge of accepting a bribe of 2 million ringgit from a businessman 3 years ago. Well, Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan made the order after finding that the prosecution had succeeded in establishing a prima facie case against Tengku Adnan, aged 68. Now, the High Court did not buy Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan's story that the 2 million ringgit he received from the property developer was a political donation for UMNO. Instead, evidence had showed that the money ended up in a company owned and run by Kunan. The High Court fixed 4 days beginning 10th January next year for Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan to enter his defence on the charge. Judge Muhammad Zaini fixed 10th, 17th, 20th and 21st January next year for Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan to rebut the prosecution's case. Now, according to the charge sheet, Datuk Seri Tengku Adnan is a public servant, namely Federal Territories Minister, had accepted for himself 2 million ringgit from Managing Director of Asset Kaya Mas Sendirian Berhad, Tan Sri Chai Ken Kong, via a Hong Leong Islamic Bank cheque belonging to Asset Kaya Mas. Now, the cheque was later deposited into the CIMB bank account of Taman Suri Holdings, Sendirian Berhad, in which he had an interest when it was known that Asset Kaya Mas had connection with his official duties. Well, he is alleged to have committed the offence at CIMB Bank Berhad, Pusat Bandar Damansara branch on 14th June 2016 under Section 165 of the Penal Code, which provides for a jail term of up to 2 years or fine or both if convicted. And on to other stories. Now, the decision to continue the construction of the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System, that's RTS project, will be announced by the end of this month. And Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook said in the 2020 budget, Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng had expressed his intention to continue the construction of the RTS. Loke said those was an indication of the government's support for the project, adding it would be discussed and decided in the cabinet within the next 2 weeks.
Jadi selepas diputuskan oleh kabinet, maka saya kena berhubung dengan rakan sejawat saya di Singapura kerana ini melibatkan projek ini melibatkan dua hala, bukan saja kita buat keputusan sehala saja, mesti melibatkan dua-dua hala, Malaysia dan Singapura. Dan selepas itu kita yakin bahawa satu pengumuman rasmi akan dapat dibuat menjelang akhir bulan ini.
He was met after officiating the Johor Port Authority Week 2019 in Johor Bahru. Loke also said that he would propose for the official announcement to be made in Johor Bahru. Well, meanwhile, Loke said the federal government fully supported the proposal to upgrade the Tanjung Pelepas Port, or PTP, in Gelang Patah to expand its operations and capacity to 30 million 20-foot equivalent unit, or TEU, by the year 2030. Now, the project is expected to be implemented in several phases in the next 5 to 10 years. Speaking to the media after officiating the opening of Johor Port Authority's 2019 Port Week, Loke said the costs to expand the PTP that currently have 12.5 million TEU capacity will be borne by private entities, as it is a privatized concession project. Loke said the government is committed in developing the PTP, as it is a strategic port that could increase the government's revenue, especially in the logistic industry.
Kita perlu memaksimalkan kelebihan kita untuk pembangunan ekonomi. Dan kalau kita ada sebuah pelabuhan yang besar, ada kapasiti yang lebih ini, maka ia sudah tentunya dapat menarik lebih banyak pelaburan dalam pelbagai sektor. Dan di negeri Johor ini, salah satu sektor yang kita amat memberikan perhatian ialah sektor logistik.
Well, the federal government revenue in 2018 amounted to 232.883 billion ringgit, with repayment as well as receivables totaling 788 billion ringgit. In the Auditor General's report 2018, the federal government's financial statement stated that operating expenditure amounted to 230.960 billion ringgit, while development expenditure of 56.095 billion ringgit. Now, the report also stated that apart from funding development expenditure, borrowings were also utilized to repay a debt of 77.492 billion ringgit. Well, the report also stated that the consolidated fund for 5 years showed an increasing trend, except in the year 2016. The highest balance for the consolidated fund was in 2018 due to a substantial increase in the consolidated trust account from negative 3.161 billion ringgit to 25.823 billion ringgit. In 2018, the government had advanced part of the loan repayment guaranteed and mature amounting to 2.839 billion ringgit on behalf of the companies, from which 1.753 billion ringgit was paid by the previous administration, while a total of 1.086 billion ringgit had been paid by the current administration. Well, the government is on the right course to put the country back on its fiscal track and restore the economy as espoused in its 3-year financial roadmap, despite entrenched uncertainties brought about by the U.S.-China trade war. The Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said the government is also on track to receive the targeted deficit of 3.4% of gross domestic product, or GDP, in 2019.
I think both of us.
When delivering his speech at the 2020 Budget Forum in Kuala Lumpur, Lim said the fiscal target has been revised to 3.2% of GDP in 2020 from 3.0% previously, but it remains on track to reach 2.8% in the medium term.
The increase from 3% to 3.2% might not sound a lot, but remember, when it comes to spending, it is not only about how much is spent, but also on what the spending is on. It is as much about getting your value for money and also about the right outcomes.
The economic roadmap, which was announced by the Ministry of Finance in September last year, aims to put Malaysia on a path to a sustainable growth with fiscal discipline, prudent budgeting, monetary stability and low inflation despite the challenges and global economic uncertainties. Lim said a lot of the measures in the budget will not only support growth in the short term, but also ferment the foundation necessary for Malaysia to transform structurally into the decades ahead. The measures, he added, were in line with the recently launched Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, which required the creation of prosperity before there is prosperity to be shared.
Well, meanwhile, Lim said the incentive payment under the newly announced Malaysia at Work initiative will be handled completely by the Employees Provident Fund, that's EPF. Well, this is because the body had detailed information on both employers and employees. Well, under the initiative, the government will spearhead 4 main programs, namely Graduates at Work, Women at Work, Locals at Work, and Apprentice at Work.
Under the initiatives, a total of 350,000 employees are expected to reap benefits in about 5 years to come.
So program ini adalah sesuatu yang lain daripada lain. Kerana bukan sahaja bagikan insentif kepada pekerja, tetapi juga kepada majikan supaya peluang pengambilan pekerja ini dapat berlaku adalah lebih tinggi.
Guan Eng added that the announcement on the implementation mechanism would be announced by EPF's Chief Executive Officer Tengku Ali Zakri alias soon. Under the 2020 budget, the government has allocated 6.5 billion ringgit for the Malaysia at Work program. The Malaysia at Work initiative was aimed at creating better opportunities for youth and women, as well reducing overdependence on low-skilled foreign workers. The initiatives would provide both wage incentives for workers and hiring incentives for employers.
The National 5G Task Force is now in the final phase of completing its report on the implementation of 5G before submitting it to the government within the fourth quarter of this year. Communications and Multimedia Minister Gobind Singh Deo told the Dewan Rakyat today that his ministry, through the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, will study the report first before bringing it to the cabinet.
Besides engagement sessions, Gobind said the ministry through MCMC had also undertaken 5G Malaysia demonstration projects, or 5GDP, aimed at facilitating, building and spurring development of cases utilizing 5G that have potential in the real environment and on a wider context to expand the 5G ecosystem.
Projek demonstrasi 5G Malaysia akan dilaksanakan selama 6 bulan. Bermula daripada bulan Oktober tahun ini, iaitu bulan ini, sehingga Mac tahun depan, oleh 8 buah syarikat yang akan membangunkan sebanyak 55 kes-kes penggunaan 5G di 6 negeri, iaitu Kedah, Perak, Pulau Pinang, Selangor, Terengganu dan Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur. Kes-kes penggunaan 5G ini meliputi 9 vertikal, iaitu bandar pintar, smart cities, hiburan media, pendidikan, penjagaan kesihatan digital, minyak dan gas, pembuatan dan industri pemprosesan, pengangkutan pintar, pertanian dan pelancongan.
When asked about the government's plans to complement 3G and 4G while switching to 5G, Gobind said the government would develop the two technologies simultaneously with 5G services. On another note, Gobind said the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC, will be given time and space to investigate alleged corruption involving two senior officers of Radio Television Malaysia, RTM.
Saya belum jumpa lagi, tetapi saya baru dimaklumkan berkenaan dengan perkara ini over the weekend, dan saya akan lihat lebih mendalam selepas saya balik ke pejabat nanti. Okay, tetapi pendirian saya, if there is a report lodged, then of course SPRM has to do its job, and we let them proceed and do what they have to do.
Last Sunday, MACC Chief Commissioner Latifa Koya confirmed that two officers aged 37 and 40 years old were among 3 individuals arrested by the MACC on 7th October to help in investigations. The two were remanded for 9 days to help in an investigation over a false claim involving funds from the Selangor Zakat Board.
An Indonesian labourer was sentenced to 10 months jail for possessing a fake identity card, while the accused, Hussein Osman, pleaded guilty after the charge was read before Magistrate Umzarul An-Nur Umar. Now, the Magistrate Court ordered the sentence to commence from the date of his arrest on 9th October. And according to the charge sheet, Hussein was found to be using the fake identity card with permanent resident status under the name Adi Wiono Sutowiono for his personal use. While he was arrested at a premise at Jalan Temenggung, Fuji Park, Ipoh, at about 1 a.m. on 9th October under Regulation 25, subsection 1, subsection C of the National Registration Regulations 1990 Amendment 2007. The prosecution was conducted by Deputy Public Prosecutor of the National Registration Department, Ahmad Firdaus Chemad Rose, while the accused was not represented by a lawyer. Well, coming up, a ministry to set up committee to address issues of abuse and violence against women. Well, the Pulau Pinang government will set aside funds for development in the state next year. And Chief Minister Chow Kun Yeow said the state budget for the next year, 2020, would be quite similar to this year's budget.
He said Penangites can look forward to a state budget that supports the welfare of the Rakyat and the development in the island state.
We will be maintaining the revenue. We will still continue with our social program. We will allocate funds for development. But as for all government, we are also looking at PFI. The whole Penang Transport Master Plan is sort of a PFI arrangement.
Chow told a press conference after attending the Asia-Pacific Heritage 2020 Forum in Georgetown today. He added that the state government has also continuously promoted Pulau Pinang internationally. The Chief Minister said the state plays a catalytic role in facilitating projects while the private sector collaborates, operates and bring in more tourists to Pulau Pinang.
The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry has agreed to set up a Women and Family Development Committee in an effort to address issues of oppression and domestic abuse against women. Its Deputy Minister Hannah Yeoh explained that the committee will involve members from the police force, Women Exco, state assembly persons and also members of parliament.
Hannah added that the committee will be assigned to collect data and discuss domestic violence cases from every district. Besides that, the committee will also discuss suitable awareness programs to be held at the places where cases of high domestic violence were reported.
Kadang-kadang kita dengar banyak kes tapi tak ada laporan. Kerana kebanyakan isu keganasan rumah tangga, wanita itu takut untuk melaporkan kerana mereka takut apa yang akan terjadi kalau mereka suri rumah. Sama ada suami akan ditangkap, sama ada suami akan terus menyokong mereka kewangan. Jadi dengan adanya multi-stakeholders meeting ini, kita akan dapat mengumpulkan data yang lebih sistematik dan yang lebih terperinci lah.
According to her, the periodical meeting will be held to ensure the issues of domestic violence and oppression against women could be effectively addressed from the grassroots level.
Well, meanwhile, Hannah said the thought that women will abuse their maternity leave by spending it on holiday is just a myth. Well, she said the maternity leave for mothers was to ensure both babies and mothers would spend bonding time together and that the babies would get exclusive breastfeeding.
Doctors always encourage us exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. So this 90 days is really very basic that women are asking for. Very, very basic. So, you know, when babies have access to mother's milk, we spend less on healthcare as a nation. Yeah, and when babies are with their mothers the first 3 months, there will be less incidents of baby choking on milk.
Hannah said this to reporters when met at the 2019 National Women and Family Convention in Putrajaya. Under the 2020 budget, a review of the Employment Act 1955 will be done to increase maternity leave from 60 days to 90 days effective 2021. This review is among the incentives to encourage women to return to work and contribute to the country's economy. The Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Shah, today graced the opening of Sekolah Menengah Sains Tapah, SESTA, in conjunction with his birthday celebrations today. And also attending the ceremony was Raja Permaisuri Perak, Tuanku Zara Salim, Raja Muda Perak, Raja Jafar Raja Muda Musa, and Raja Dihilir Perak, Raja Iskandar Zulkarnain, Sultan Idris Afifullah Shah. Now, the arrival of the Sultan was welcomed by Perak Menteri Besar, Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal Azumu, State Education Deputy Director General Dr. Ahmad Rafi Sheikh Kasim, and the State Excos. Well, construction work on the school began on October 2006 and it was completed on August 2009 and handed over to the Education Ministry on October 2009. The school was a fully residential school on a 30-hectare piece of land equipped with 5 triple-story buildings, 30 classrooms, 2 hostel blocks, hall and other basic facilities. At present, the school has 755 students, 66 teachers and 20 support staff. In the 10 years it was set up, the school has achieved numerous successes such as the Gold Special Award in the Japan Design and Invention Expo 2019, the Gold Award in the International Conference of Young Scientists 2019, and the Gold Award in the 8th Malaysia International Young Inventors Olympiad. Well, a full-time warden post needed to be created to enable them to perform their duties effectively. National Union of Teaching Professional NUTP President Aminuddin Awang said a review conducted on the roles of boarding school wardens found that the group was working overtime every day.
According to Aminuddin, a memorandum regarding the matter would be submitted to the Ministry of Education soon.
Harapan kita agar akhirnya nanti warden asrama sepenuh masa akan dapat diwujudkan di sekolah. Mungkin dari segi sentuhan guru itu masih ada di dalam tugasan sebagai warden ini, tetapi sebahagian besarnya nanti kita mahukan ada perjawatan khas bagi menangani ataupun menjalankan sebahagian besar daripada tugasan warden ini.
He was met after the discussion about the roles of school wardens in Kuala Lumpur. The issue arises as some teachers in boarding schools have been forced to becoming full-time school wardens by principals, thus increasing their burden.
On Malaysian soil, Malaysia drew 1-1 with Australia in the Sultan of Johor Cup or SOJC Under-21 International Hockey Tournament at the Stadium Taman Daya, Johor Bahru last night. Now, although Malaysia managed to collect only 1 point, Nur Saiful Zaini Nasiruddin's boys should be commended for giving Australia a good fight after going down to India in their opening match last night.
The first half saw both sides mounting numerous attacks, but they failed to convert. Malaysia finally took the lead in the 35th minute when Adam Aiman Mamad scored from a penalty corner. Australia were awarded a penalty corner in the 45th minute, but Ehrin Hazel's shot was saved by the Malaysian defence. However, Malaysia's joy was short-lived when Daniel McBride equalised through a field goal in the 58th minute.
That's all the time we have this evening. In our top story, Dato Sri Tengku Adnan ordered to enter defence over 2 million ringgit bribe. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Carlos. Stay tuned to TV2 and have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.